Let's piss some people off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to I Am Spice, the podcast. Before I start today, I just want to tell you guys if anything that I say resonates with you or your soul, or somebody that you think might need words of wisdom on how to know how to navigate their life or how to break out of what society's expectations are, do share this with other people. Do hit that subscribe button. I would appreciate it so much for this channel, this podcast, to reach as many people as possible. And without further ado, welcome to my podcast. Woo, this is my second episode. And the title of this episode came so fast to my mind when I was literally just working on my first episode. And the title is I Don't Live There Anymore. I don't live there anymore means a lot. It means a lot to me because I'm always saying this from a perspective of I am no longer that person, and I will explain that in full detail. But first, I do want to clarify, and this is something that I want to make very clear. My podcast is not about gossip. It's not about bashing people. Just because I decided to talk about my truth, that doesn't mean that I'm gossiping. Because we humans, we all have a lens that we see life through, right? And just because I explained it, just because I lived it and I see it a certain way and I'm seeing it from a reflective way because I learned, I healed, doesn't mean necessarily that that's the way you see it. So this is my truth. I'm gonna speak my truth. It doesn't come from a place of anger. It doesn't come from a place of sadness. On the contrary, it comes from a place of growth. And if you knew me before, this might surprise you, but I no longer live there. I no longer live in that space where people are just with their hands fully crossed and like waiting to, I don't know, be validated. Period. I am not that person. So I survived everything that I've been through and I'm here to talk about it. Period. So this goes to the people that are closest to me and that know me or had gotten to know me, or people that have been on my path. This is not about you. This is about me. And I am saying things as I've experienced them, and I'm entitled to what I feel. I'm entitled to say I feel like this, I felt like this is what I saw, because it's me. Nobody has power over my spirit or power over what I know I lived and how it changed me and how it moved me and how it makes me tick the way it makes me tick right now. I come from a family that don't talk about things. Everything is quiet, everything is closed, kept under closed doors. Everybody just copes and everybody just does their thing, even though we for sure know that the gossipers are really out there, because the ones that like to say that you're gossiping are the first ones gossiping. Interesting. But no, this is my truth. Just because you're not able to see it how I see it, which is perfectly fine, doesn't mean that I didn't live it, okay? So this is my perspective. Everything I am, and everyone that resonates with the same upbringing that I had. And also, this is just me, period. So putting that out there, I am not speaking on behalf of my parents. I adore my parents. I love my parents, because some people might say, oh my God, here she is talking about her childhood and that it was so hard and then this and that and that. No, I'm not a victim. I am not talking as I am a victim. I am talking as hey, I was raised a certain way, but I decided that's not who I wanted to be. And that is perfectly fine too. I know that a lot that I'm going to say is going to upset people. I've been criticized before. My name has been dragged through the mud. My name has been dragged through courtrooms and group chats. I'm used to it. I'm alive. I'm still here. I don't give a fuck. Because just because nobody dares to say their truth doesn't mean that I have to stay quiet. And this is not for clout. And I need everybody to, I'm just going to say this, and if you take it as it is, good. And if not, well, there's nothing I can do, because I am speaking from a place of, listen, we got to heal, we got to grow. That happened to me when I was younger no longer hurts me, because I healed from it. So I'm here just to let you know, how did I heal? How did I overcome it? If you do not question your life and what to do and how to get to know yourself better, I don't know what you're doing. Because people just go through life sometimes just trying to overcome things without even sitting with themselves and being like, okay, so how do I do this? So that's what I mean by that. Another thing is that I know a lot of people rather be like, oh, but what she's talking all of this, talking about this and that. Because, silence has never served me. Staying quiet has never been my ally. And I was just born to speak the truth. I was born to be unique, authentic. My authentic self that has been questioned 1,000 times as to why I am the way I am. But still people are obsessed with me and can't get enough of who I am. And ask themselves, how can they be like this? Well, I'll show you. I'll let you know. Not to be like me, but to be like your authentic self. And that takes a lot of work. And going to the title of my video, which is called I No Longer Live There. What are we talking about when we're talking about there? There is the past. There is everything I was taught, that I learned, that I lived for 24 years, because that's when the shift in my life came to me. I didn't know at the moment, though. I realized this many years after. When you start growing up, when you start healing and you start asking yourself questions about yourself constantly. And I know I mentioned this on my previous episode 1, when I talked about at 24 years old, was that I decided I'm going to be me. And this is what shifted. I wasn't happy. I was raised, and I'm going to start since I was a kid. I was raised very Pentecostal. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad used to work, so she would take care of us. And I was the middle child. I am the middle child. And there was always these expectations from me based on the life that my parents lived. And this was a very Christian Pentecostal, I would say to the extreme, kind of fanatic way of living. And I'm not sugarcoating it, it's true. And this is something I spoke with my mom earlier today. As a matter of fact, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be talking about things that I know people out there might think that I'm just talking shit about you guys, but you very well know, because these are conversations that I've had with my mom and my dad about my upbringing. This, what I'm talking about on my podcast, are things that I've already discussed with my parents, especially with my mom. She knows how I feel about everything. And I am so grateful that I've been able to have these conversations with my mom. And I just take it with grace, because once I became a mom at 19, that's when I realized how hard it is to be a parent and how scared you are to fuck things up. But the thing is that that's when you realize that your parents had to raise you with whatever tools they had. And I recognize that my parents raised me out of fear of fucking up. We all go through that, but at the same time, I know I've talked these things with my mom, things that I hid from her for the longest. She was not mean. She was not my dad either. They were just strict. My dad, head of the household. And I was raised also like I am Puerto Rican. The culture is very misogynist. I was not supposed to leave the house unless I was married. That's how things were back then. If I wanted to leave the house, my parents' house, and that's how usually Latino houses are back in the day. Things have changed a lot in the past, 10 years. Because honestly, when I was growing up, me saying, well, I wanted something else. I wanted to, as soon as I graduated, I just wanted to go to the Air Force. I had so many dreams. Because I had so many excellent grades, everybody wanted me to, join them. I did pass the Air Force test and I couldn't join because my dad said no, that I couldn't go. And I didn't understand why. He would say that girls do not belong in the Air Force. That's the kind of mentality that I was born into, and that women were not allowed to do certain things. It's just a typical misogynist way of thinking, which is sad because it's so not true. So I grew up very angry with what women were allowed or not allowed to do, to the extent that I would tell myself that I was never gonna allow a man to dictate what I was supposed to do or not, which it has become true. But in that specific time, I was so mad, so mad at the whole thought of having a man providing everything for me and me not being able to do anything. And that's something I also had to heal, and that's something that also we're going to talk about here in this podcast. The environment that I was raised in, there was so much unspoken. It was the obey, the serve, the suppress, the sacrifice. It was all about religion. But when I was 14, I knew I wanted to be, I knew I was different. I knew there was more to what my parents were teaching me. There's so many things I used to do as a teenager that was not even bad, but I did consider they were bad because they were like the devil. Like everything was the devil. The devil's gonna take you. You're gonna go to hell because of this. That was the life I lived. That my whole family, like my extended family, believed that I was truly that girl and that girl only. So that's where everything else comes after that, when I decided to be me. Did I know exactly when I decided to be me? Yes. Did I know who I was? No. All I know is I wasn't happy. I was married to this person that I wasn't happy, and also that got questioned. When I decided that, with a whole bunch of other complications, not gonna talk about that right now, I told my mom, and the first thing my mom said was, no, what about the kids? Because I already had my first two kids. When I said, they're still gonna have their dad, but mom, what about my happiness? What about me? And I told her, I am not asking you to tell me if I can divorce him or not. I am telling you that I want a divorce and that I'm not happy. And I had already saw, like, this is not how I want to live. This person and I were not compatible at all. We do not click. Haley has, besides other things, other interests. But I decided to just call it quits in that moment. And I still had to wait 2 years and 1 day to get divorced because this person did not want to divorce me and did not want to agree on a divorce. I didn't know what it was like to have a divorce. So I had to wait 2 years and 1 day to get finally divorced. But that same day, I walked out of that house with my 2 kids. That's the same day I said, I'm going to be myself. Who am I going to be? I don't know. I knew I wanted to start by changing my appearance. Another thing was, with this person, I wasn't even allowed to have like nails or do my makeup because he was a person also that was very into the church and all of that, and it was all about appearances and what the church is gonna think. So it was all that whole church thing, and like, oh, you should do things because of what people are gonna think of you mentality. And I was like, I can't live like this. I cannot live suppressed. It's like I left the house, my parents' house, thinking that I was gonna have this freedom, and I never loved him. I did care for him, but I never, and that's hard to say, but I never fell in love with him. I tried, but things are not like that. This is supposed to be a two-way relationship, and here I have a person that wants me as his wife, but does not know how to have a relationship and how to be, does not, it's as cold as the Titanic's iceberg. That is so not me. And I'm talking about this first relationship that I had. I married extremely young. I knew him since I was 15. He proposed when I was like 16, 17. He's 7 years older than me. So that was another thing. I told my mom, like, how did you let me do such a thing? She's like, is that you were always like so stubborn and whatever you wanted was that would go and this and that. It was not like that. That's not true. I am very persistent, but at the same time, as a mom, I would have not let my daughter commit that but also the way of thinking of my mom was different. She had a very traditional way of thinking, which was, I want my daughter to be married to a decent person, and for this person, if he belongs to church or whatever, that would be even better. But that was not the case. I was not happy. And if I mention that specific without telling, the details, it's because when I left that relationship, it's exactly when I made the decision. And it takes for you, people might be like, that is not even true. What are you talking about? Like, you just make the decision. Like, if this is just like a life-changing moment, it is. It is. You're right here. You have like this path right here. Let's follow the road of everybody follows, and let's just do what everybody does. Let's stay low, keep your head down, don't talk back, don't question anything, and don't you dare do anything that make anyone talk about you or think otherwise, because what are people gonna think? Or let's go this way, which at the time I didn't know that was gonna be something like this. You're gonna be yourself. Your family is gonna start talking about you. The ones that know you're gonna be surprised. Oh my God, like, what is, she's rebelling. She's so rebellious. Look, she cut her hair. Me, in the span of like 2 months after I left that relationship, I literally felt, and I can tell you specifically, till this day I remember, how did it feel for me to say I'm gonna be myself and only me. And at the time I did not know who I was gonna be, but I just started doing the things I liked. My hair was long. I cut my hair like into a bob. I remember I even got highlights, red highlights, and my hair is dark brown naturally. I got my ears pierced. I got my first tattoo, that is this one that's right here in the back. Also, I was wearing pants. That was another thing. My mom, because I used to work in corporate, and she said, don't you tell me you're going to start using pants. I'm like, what? Like, Mom, I am 20, I was 24 to be 25. I am 24 years old, and I'm a mom. And I can use whatever I want. So that was a battle that I had with my mom in the beginning, so bad. I honestly thought that this was gonna last forever because it seemed like it was forever. My mom was so upset that I was not being the girl that she raised. And I remember this time I was talking to her, and she just kept saying, no, that women are not supposed to do this, women are not supposed to do that, you're doing this. I was doing nothing wrong. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I got a tattoo, she got mad at me, she didn't talk to me. Like, I was just doing like silly stuff, and she was so upset. Because deep down, and these are things that we have talked about, she feared what people were going to think of me and were going to talk about me and about her. Because remember that most parents think that however their kids act depends on how you raised them. And no, we're not an extension of our parents. We do have their values, and we do take a lot from our parents, but we are not an extension of our parents, the same way that my kids are not an extension of me. And I cannot pretend for them to be an extension of me, because they need to be themselves. And this, I remember as if it was this day. I was so pissed off. so pissed off. And I had never yelled at my mom. And that day, I literally like opened my mouth and I just said, "Mom," and I used to live with my mom at the time, and my kids. And I remember as if it was today, I was like, "Mom, I have never been you. I will never be you, and I am not you." And I remember Mom, she just went like, I don't know what went through her head, but I was like, I was shitting my pants because I was like, I was afraid my mom was gonna slap me across the face. She didn't say anything, and she just went, and she walked out of the room. But it took me, this what I'm trying to say with this. For me, it was with my mom. And then I'm like, how do I make my mom understand me? I started having more talks with myself. I started talking to myself. What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like? That's how we learn about ourselves. You can't be trying to solve life without knowing yourself. That's extremely important, to start asking yourself those questions. Because the thing is that when I said I was going to be myself, it felt good. It felt liberating. It felt so natural, as it should feel. But I was frustrated. I was so frustrated, and I don't want to get emotional, but I just got like goosebumps all over, because the person that I loved the most in my life, my mom, was mad at me and did not understand me. So I started asking questions, because I used to ask questions to myself all the time, but it was like, how can I make my mom understand? And I'm gonna tell you, it took years. It took for me to do so many things under the sun, for a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting. My mom would not want me to go out partying. I was 24, 25, 26 years old, and she was still treating me like I was a kid. And I understand from a mother's point of view, because when my daughter, that is 22, just to go out with her friends, I would be scared and I would worry. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be worried, but she was taking it to another level. She would tell me, oh, women don't go partying. This is like, I would be trying to get ready to go out to I love dancing. So me getting ready to go out dancing, and my mom would be like, this is not the time for a woman to go out 11 o'clock p.m. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is when things are getting good. Another thing that bothered me was that my mom was not the right person to tell me what was good or what was bad, or what I should do or what I shouldn't do, because my mom has never drank alcohol or done anything like that in her life. My mom does not know what it's like to go to a party, to get drunk, to go dancing, to go clubbing. So that pissed me off. I was like, how are you gonna tell me what am I supposed to be doing? Where should I go? What am I allowed to do or not, when you have never experienced it yourself? So as a young mom, then I do not regret at all to have gone clubbing, drinking, all of that. Thank God, I've never done drugs, but I did go dancing a lot. And my mom, she would wait for me at home, pissed off at me, like as if I was a little kid. But at the end of the day, it took so many years of us fighting with each other, and so many years of her seeing that no matter what, no matter how much she fought with me, at the end of the day, all I wanted was to find myself. And I did. And I know there's a lot of people out there that never grow up, that they just stay on party mode, they don't take responsibility. But my mom realized, hey, like, honestly, like, she is being her. When I developed this sense of me, that I started to getting to know myself better as an adult, that's when I was able to sit with my mom and tell her, hey, this is me. And also the fact of me cursing. My brothers would not dare to curse in front of my parents, and then I'd be cursing like a sailor. So that was another funny thing, because she's like, why are you always cursing? Stop cursing. You're not supposed to be cursing. And I'm like, oh my God, whatever, Mom. But this really got through my mom. This right here that I'm going to say right now. I sat with them, sat with my mom and my dad, and I told them, this is who I am. I am happy. I am happy being me. I love tattoos. I love my short hair. My mom mourned my long hair. You guys have no idea. Because she was the one who used to keep my hair super long. And when I sat with her and told her, Mom, I am happy. This is me. Look at me. I'm a good woman. I'm a good mom. And all I want is to be me. Unapologetically me. And no, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care about anything. I don't care about, it's like, I don't give. But, and I told her, I am not asking, this was the key thing. I told them, I am not asking for you guys to be okay. You guys don't have to be okay. You don't need to like the fact that I like short hair. You don't need to like the fact that I like tattoos and piercings and dressing a certain way or provocative or whatever. Even though there's some comments sometimes like, oh, you shouldn't put this on. But they came to know that what I expected from them all along was this, to be loved by them no matter who I am. That they didn't have to be okay, even if being the way I am, they don't like it. If they could change anything that I am, for them to be okay with it, because, and take it as long as she's happy and she's healthy. And I never pressed the fact of, no, you gotta be okay, you gotta like it. No, they don't. Nobody needs to like anything. They don't need to be okay with who I am. All I ask of the people, from the people that I love, is to respect me for who I am, to love me for who I am. That's why in the previous episode I said, whoever's gonna love you, whoever loves you, is gonna hold space for you. Whoever loves you will never judge you, because they see you for who you are. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You lose people because they're not okay with how you're living your life, even though if you're happy, because it doesn't serve them. But who cares? It doesn't have to serve them. Another thing, when people ask, how do I get to be myself? Like I've said, it takes a lot of standing in your ground. Like, put your foot down and be like, you're going to be criticized left and right. And then you can't act like a victim. Oh, why are people like this? Well, they're talking about me. Well, because you chose to be different. there is a certain baggage, and I'm saying this and like I'm getting like all of my hair like from here like standing up. There's a baggage that comes with being unique. Is that you're not gonna be liked by everyone. You're not gonna be loved by everyone because you stand out like a sore thumb. It happens to me every day. I even tried to blend in at a certain point when I came from Puerto Rico to Florida. I'll talk about that in another episode. That didn't work. But you're not gonna fit in. But that's good if you don't fit in, because you're just you. And how do you become yourself? Stop caring about others, what other people think of you. What does it matter? Why validation is so much for you? Like, why do you need other people's validations? Why do you care what they have to say? And it's not that you're heartless, it's not that you're numb, it's just that who are you trying to please? You can't be fully happy if you're trying to live vicariously through other people. It is honestly so sad to see people not being them because they're too afraid of what people are going to think, and they live a life of lies. I don't dare. I don't know. I'm going to tell you guys. In the beginning, it was shaky. I did not know how I was going to make it. But here I am. And I walk the way I walk. I talk the way I talk because I've lived it. It's not butterflies and rainbows. It's not easy. Because when you hear about or read about what your loved ones, your alleged loved ones are talking behind your back, you're like, wow. Well, I didn't have that on my bingo card. And it hurts. And it hurts, and you cry, and you get frustrated, and you feel all those emotions. I'm not saying this you're going to be a bad bitch from day one. You become that person by going through all of those heartbreaks, by going through all of disappointments, by knowing who's really in your corner, because that's when you really know who's in your corner, who's really going to love you no matter what, whatever happens in this life. The moment you decide to be yourself, that's the day that the masks fall off. So, I'm going to ask you guys, are you still living there? Because I am no longer living there. She doesn't live there. The old me is no longer here. I don't live there. Where is there? The past. Where is there? Where people have expectations of me, where people get to say what I say, what I do, what I don't do, how I do things, what's expected of me. You shouldn't do that. You're too skinny. You're too fat. You're too ugly. You're too pale. You're too tanned. Your hair is too short. Your hair is too long. There. I no longer live there. So, this is the time for you to sit back and ask yourself, do you still live there? Or are you moving? Because, honey, pack your bags. Pack your bags because it's time to move. Pack. There's never going to be a right time for you to start being yourself. The more you wait, the more time it's going to take you to heal. Pack your bags with the pain, with the trauma, with everything. Bring it along. because you're going to start shedding. You're going to start shedding, unpacking along the way as you keep on living. And as long as you put your foot down and you say, I do not give a fuck, I'm just going to be myself, it will happen. It takes work. It takes tears. It's so worth it. And this is just the beginning of so much that I have to say. If you guys made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for joining me on the second episode. This journey, I'm loving it so much because I get to talk about who I am and the things that I've overcome. And things have been messy. They have been really messy. If this hit you, please like, subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so you don't lose or just, one of the episodes. Another thing, I dropped the first episode this past Friday because I was just so excited. I was not supposed to be recording yet, but I did, and it came out great. So I just decided to post it. It went live this past Friday. Go watch it too, and please tell me what you think, honestly. But my episodes are gonna be dropped every Wednesday. Still have not decided the time. Maybe super early in the morning, and when I do, I will let you guys know. Thank you for your support. And are we moving or aren't we moving? You guys take care. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.